It's okay if you don't remember. This was a Hail Mary
You
pass
know, on the side where our units
of opportunity.
for the air conditioning.
I don't think
And
so.
what he thought was ours, even though it said Unit 4, which we are, it wasn't, but at first he's like.
You remember what we were,
"But
what
they're
were we using it
it's
for?
the coils down the bottom and they're just
Well,
flaking off.
that particular time,
Because
some
it's either
Google
old
Docs education.
Dog urine. Really? Dog urine?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We switched over single sign-on to use Azure this summer.
Yeah.
So it,
Now the new accounts aren't showing.
I
up.
like this, Matt. He
Right.
came to my help. It was funny because when he came to look
Of
at
course,
everything,
no one remembers.
he looked at the tag. He's
Now-
like, "That's me right there for Swan Lake."
Was our
Oh, that's
identity management
interesting.
synchronization
on
system
his own,
creating
probably.
Google accounts? That would I would believe
He
more
just
than
put in a
Plymouth.
new furnace and condenser.
Yeah, well, I
for,
figured something. Oh, it's 5 o'clock.
But I don't know how long.
Oh, okay.
You know, ape.
And I
has
went
been
I
over
did say
retired.
the number, so,
in his
Ape
work
hasn't- well,
is
it kind of
from going over and
obviously went
looking
away
at
this summer.
Tom's.
right.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's bring this meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance.
Nope.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
All right. Let's look at some minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the August 14th regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I was absent.
Yep.
I will abstain.
Well, luckily, we have enough.
It was me.
We did have a non.
I'll make a motion to approve the August 14th non-public meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Mary Ann, you're going to abstain from that one
Yes,
too.
I am, sorry, yep.
Since you were working. Okay, announcements. The Select Board will meet on the following dates at 5 p.m. Monday, September 11th, Monday, September 25th. Citizens wishing to be listed on the Select Board's agenda should notify the Town Hall before noon Thursday before the scheduled meeting. All meetings will be held upstairs in Town Hall and be available via Zoom. Zoom information can be found on the town's website at plymouth-nh.org. All town offices will be closed next Monday, September 4th, in observance of Labor Day. All right, well, no comments from me. Scott, let's
Sure.
talk through the town manager report.
Got a few things going on. First and foremost, propane heating oil RFP. Quotes were due back on August 15th. We received quotes from both Irving Oil and Dead River. Dead River provided the most competitive pricing. We have locked in for 1 year at $1.52.9 for propane and $3.42.9 for heating oil. Last year, the town was paying approximately $1 above each of these locked-in prices.
Great.
So thank you, Ann, for sending that out and working through that process. And we just heard this afternoon that Liberty Utilities is looking at a 22% increase for their residential customers.
Wow.
How'd they get
So-
them down so much?
We just put out the RFPs and they came in. That's what they came in at, so.
So, nice job, Ann, thank you. Plymouth Fire Rescue, they've put out a save the date for their open house, September 30th, 2023, 11 to 2 p.m. And Chief Morrison thanks Captain Peck and Firefighter Fucci and Baralt for working on this. And it will be in the newsletter and it will be up on the website as well. Pirate Party update, I've been working with Attorney Radigan, Attorney Wilson from the AG's office, and Plymouth Police Department with regards to communications to Barstool Plymouth, re the promotion of the Pirate Party as it is a prohibited event. We will issue a joint letter to Barstool Plymouth this week, as well as providing the communications to Plymouth State University. I've met with Jess Dutile in the Community Impact Department, and she is going to get that out as well, the letter that's sent to Barstool Plymouth.
Is that only going to Barstool Plymouth, or are we sending that all the way to the sort of Barstool corporate headquarters?
We are sending it to Barstool headquarters.
Okay, that's great.
And what kind of teeth does that have? Is it just, we don't want you to, and pay if you don't?
Probably, I mean, it's, hopefully they take it serious.
Okay.
And they understand the severity of it in the event that something happens. The Attorney General's office, there's not a lot they can do other than to co-edit the letter with us and put it out there. But they've made it clear that they will provide any support we need from state police, as well as any other resources that they can provide to us.
And PSU is just gonna say, we frown upon it, or to the
They're going to
students?
issue, they're going to put out the letter that comes from Attorney Radigan and the AG's office, as well as they've got a couple events coming up this weekend. Hopefully it's out by this weekend, and they'll communicate it at those events.
Thank you.
Town office IT, we've been working with Certified Computer Systems. Ann and I met with Katie LaValle from CCS with regards to our yearly system updates. In order to increase the security of our systems, we'll be adding the following: two-factor adaptive authentication, which is a security system that requires two distinct forms of identification. The YubiKey that we'll be using, the hardware, is provided by Primex, our liability carrier. So once we find out the system criteria, we have a call into Primex to get those YubiKeys at no charge. We'll also be doing cybersecurity awareness training, phishing simulation, and dark web monitoring. We'll be migrating over from .org to .gov. State and local government are making change based on advice from our consultant in Primex. This will increase security and make it easy to identify official government websites on the internet. I do have a letter here, Zach, for you to sign to .gov domain registration. In order for us to do this, we have to make the request to this organization.
Do we need to make a motion for Zach to sign, or?
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we authorize Zach to sign the document to request the .gov site.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And the last piece on the town office IT is password manager. We're going to move to a password manager, which will allow staff to store passwords securely. This allows staff to use unique, strong passwords for all of their important accounts. These are things that we haven't had but are implementing this year.
Do you know what password manager they're recommending?
We don't have a password manager right now, Zach.
Right, but do you know which tool that they're
I
recommending?
don't. I can find that out, though.
Okay.
I will find that out.
There's some that are much better than others.
Okay. No, I'll get that. I'll send an email out tomorrow just advising which one it is, because I am not sure right now. Recreation updates. Lisa wanted me to provide that the Recreation Department summer programs are coming to an end. The department offered 30 programs. The programs were well received with over 600 participants. Recreation and Parks would like to thank the school for making sure their needs were met while balancing many ongoing school projects. The department is gearing up for the fall with PES Recreation After School Program, Fall Soccer Program, Robotics Program, and a potential whale watch trip, Seafood Festival trip, and other programs such as STEM and Legos. In the near future, the department would like to come into the select board meeting and talk about their rebranding project. And last but not least, save the date for the ski and skate sale for November 17th and 18th this year. I will say, my wife and I went on the Isles of Shoals trip with the Recreation Department. Very well organized. I had never been out to Star Island. I'm embarrassed to kind of say that, living in New Hampshire my entire life.
Never been out there
But
myself.
It was such a great trip out through Portsmouth Harbor, and the history that I really never knew about with Portsmouth Harbor, and then getting out to Star Island. Such a beautiful trip, and there was, I think, 15 of us that went on that trip. So very nicely organized for the adult population, which it mostly was.
Hey, I'd like to say that I've never been out there as well, and maybe we can have like a select board.
There you go.
I've never been there either.
All right.
Look at that.
It's,
bunch
it's
of us have it.
beautiful out there, just absolutely beautiful. They run everything off of a solar array
Right.
that they have out there. They talk about it, they run their entire, septic system empowered by the solar array. So just a really neat place that I had never been, that I really enjoyed going to, and kudos to the rec department for
I
putting
do
that
know that
on.
our moderator has been out there quite a few times. Bob Clay has been almost a yearly event for him.
Right.
so.
Oh, yeah, doesn't he work it or something?
Well, he used to work the Guilford,
In or,
well, I don't know what, yeah, something like that. He did security at the Guilford, outdoor concert thing.
right?
So maybe he does security out on Star Island.
No, he said he did. I remember talking to him last voting for some reason. And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Next, the FEMA 22 storm. Good news on that. Joe and Steve met with FEMA site representatives on Monday, July 31st. They conducted site visits to damaged areas from December 22 storm. We have a follow-up meeting on August 31st, Thursday, to review the results of the visit and the reimbursement amounts. Ann and I had a call with them, a brief call with them last week to go in and look at the designations, and right now, based on what they see, it's about $72,000 that we could have for reimbursement through FEMA. So it's looking positive in that regards. Plymouth State University, I met with Jessica Dutal on Monday, August 21st, for a monthly meeting. I attended the partner brunch at PSU, hosted by the Community Impact Department. There were a number of topics, but most importantly, it was an opportunity to meet with several of the nonprofit organizations and PSU volunteers for, as well as opportunities for the town. We discussed a number of items to include the Pirate Party and thoughts on creating a community business event next year and kicking that off after this year's event. Cluster project, that remains the same. John Christ is working on getting that started. The PSU Town Hall meeting will take place on September 27th from 5 to 7 at the Hartman Union Building. The invitation to community members will appear on the town website and will be distributed via the weekly newsletter. So we'll make sure we get that out. Tonight in your packet, we can go through the fund balance policy that we've put together when we get to that on the agenda. We will be having a flu vaccination clinic here at the town hall on October 17th from 1 to 3. It's open to employees, families, elected officials, or volunteer committee members that are interested, and it is being sponsored by Spear Memorial Hospital. Property assessing update. We talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, but based on a couple delays that took place, the letters should be in the mail today to the residents, including their property values for the 2023 tax year, and informal hearings with taxpayers to discuss the 2023 assessed value will be held. The dates that are scheduled at Pease Public Library are Friday, September 8th, Wednesday, September 13th, Thursday, September 14th, Friday, September 15th, and the following Monday, September 18th. Appointments will be scheduled through the town office, so anybody can call, schedule an appointment for any one of those days to have a hearing. Downtown drainage project update. Things are moving along as planned. This week, they will tie in all of the downtown businesses from Highland Street to the roundabout for their permanent water connection. The temporary water on Russell Street is in place, with hopes that drainage will start next week on Russell Street. And north of the Common for this week is pretty much finished up until the water is tested and they start making the permanent connections north of the Rotary to Toby Road. A couple other things that came up after I put my report together, and I raised this to see if the board has any interest in it, is that there is a shortage of parking for students at Plymouth State University. And we're getting calls each and every day, is there any place we can park?
Off-campus students?
We university students.
Off-campus university students or
Either or.
Either or, okay.
So I spoke with Alex and Nate, I spoke with Robert and Lisa, and the upper Fox Park parking lot. So if we were to park some cars up there and charge what the university charges for parking, we probably could put 15 spots. I met with Steve and Joe from the highway department to see how they could plow that and what type of agreement that we could enter into with the student, like Plymouth State University has with their students, a memorandum of understanding. They'd have to move their vehicles to plow. We'd have an email chain that would go out. So at $400 per spot, 15 spots is $6,000 worth of revenue. So I don't know if the board is interested in moving forward with that, but we could put 15 spots on that lower side of that upper parking lot to accommodate some parking.
When you say upper parking lot, is that the one off Prince Haven?
Yeah.
Yes, correct,
That parking lot's empty most of the time.
Yep.
correct,
Is that 400 a semester or for the year?
for the year.
Okay.
And we've done that before.
Oh.
You know, I don't know if it was that particular parking lot, but I think it was, wasn't
I
it?
don't think it would
remember.
interfere much with our,
I mean, the Public Works Department plows the parking lot anyway. There's no additional there. The PD has the permit parking signs, which we would put up 15, mark it out, and enter into an agreement with each one of these students based on what the university uses for an agreement, and go from there. But I wanted to bring it here to see if there was an interest in that, and if there is, I will pursue it and we'll get something taken care of.
Do you think they'd have the shuttle, the BSU shuttle go down there as well?
I don't know. I hadn't thought of that, Mary Ann, but that's a good point and can speak to them about that.
It's not
But it's close enough to
that
campus
far.
where,
Yeah, it's just at
No, I'm
night
with
it
you.
can
At
be.
night, yeah, at night it
I
could be.
mean, I look at it as it's closer than.
Do we have a police call box there? Like
I'm
a
sorry,
bl-
what's
do we
that?
have any sort of police call box? Like, could we get the university to put maybe one of their blue phones or something over there?
We might be able to.
I think the logistics of getting a blue phone there would be pretty prohibitive, considering the distance.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't hurt to ask. I mean, my biggest thing that I would be worried about is the parking there, plowing is gonna be an issue. They have historically had plowing problems on campus, getting students to move. It's a question of how much do we want to chase them around to move.
The way that, when talking to Steve and Joe, how they would plow that is the reason for the lower side is they can come in and wing everything to that upper side. So the only snow that would be left would be between the vehicles.
So yeah, so even if someone didn't move, it wouldn't be,
It wouldn't
Right,
be
they
a big.
still
wouldn't be
could
like
plow
you
the
couldn't
lot.
plow the lot at all.
Right. So, up to you if you want me to continue to pursue it, and
I think it's a great idea.
Revenue is revenue.
Revenue's revenue, yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm into it. Slight nervousness about the security over there and lighting, but,
Have their own shovel.
Lighting or a camera too is something that
Yeah.
is kind of desolate.
Of a trail cam.
Yeah, see if there's any deer that are not there too.
I'll look
see if
into
the
it
bear
some more
wanders over
and-
there.
The police could kind of
Send
check
an
on it
email
once
out.
in a while.
And then there's so many times that we don't have good news, but this year, I attended the AmeriCorps Senior Companionship Dinner at the Common Man last Thursday. And we have a resident in Plymouth that retired at age 65 and has volunteered for the last 25 years as a senior companion for residents in the Plymouth, Holderness, Ashland, and Rumney and Campton area. And her name is Alice French. She lives at Prince Haven, and she was awarded the Presidential Volunteer Achievement Award, in which I was able to present to her last Thursday at the Common Man. But it was a great event. I really didn't know anything about the AmeriCorps Senior Companionship Program, but it's quite a program, very involved. You know, and Alice is 89 years old and has volunteered 20 hours a week every single week since she retired at age 65.
wow.
What is the AmeriCorps Senior?
So what they do, it's all over the state. The hub office is in Concord, but they have an office in Coos County, and they have an office, I think, over in the Lebanon area. So what they do is they go in and visit with seniors who are housebound or that don't have family close by to help them with different types of chores, maybe taking them to the store, providing companionship. And, I just thought it was remarkable that she has not failed to have less than 20 hours a week for 25 years.
That's cool.
Doesn't
So-
AmeriCorps do a lot of other things?
Yeah.
They do. But I just thought it was a nice story to bring here tonight because sometimes we don't hear all the good of things that people that reside in our community that they do. And I just thought this was very nice.
Yeah, that's great.
That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. I'm running a little late on our public hearing, but I think that's okay, given the attendance in the audience. So I will open the public hearing at 5:21. The Plymouth Select Board is holding a public hearing in accordance with RSA 31:95B for the acceptance of unanticipated funds from the Grant Programs Directorate's fiscal year 2022 Assistance to Firefighters Grant Program. The town has been awarded $30,901 for the purpose of purchasing an NFPA 1581 compliant washer extractor dryer. The grant amount is for $29,429.52. The remaining balance of $1,471.48 will come from the Plymouth Fire Department budget. And we have posted this in the Record Enterprise on August 17th, Town Hall, and the town website.
It's a commercial rig.
That's a lot of,
So this is something that had been included in the CIP for a future purchase. So we'll be able to remove that expense from the CIP, seeing that we did receive the grant.
Perfect.
so is this some ginormous,
I would say so. It's a
where do
big,
they put something like
big
that?
unit.
It goes in the back. Right now, they have a washer and dryer in the, what they call equipment room where the lockers are. So we'll go in the back where that, and replace that area there.
Yep. So they already have something.
They do.
Yeah. And this will replace that with something new and more commercial.
Absolutely commercial grade.
Great.
What do you do with the old one? Just-
I don't know what they'll do with it.
Are you looking for one?
I might be.
I would say with the carcinogens that have probably been through that washer, I would
Yeah.
get rid of them.
Yeah.
That's
I
ice
would-
cream stains do not come out. So.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Any questions from the online public? It looks like we do have.
One.
Dan Marion.
Oh.
Oh, okay. It's my eyes not fully.
So just,
Getting
yeah,
any-
there's no one there.
You're there.
Dan Marion.
Nothing-
Any comments, Dan? We had an unmute and an unmute, but take it, no comments from the public. So I will close the public hearing at 5:24.
Ted, I'm sorry, can you just read off your agenda, how much the actual amount is of the grant?
The actual amount of the grant is for $29,429.52.
Do we need a motion to accept the grant?
I'll make a motion to accept the grant of $29,429.52 for the purpose of purchasing an NFPA 1581 compliant washer extractor dryer.
Second.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. Okay, well, in the spirit of purchase orders, we've got a purchase order here from Joe Fagnant for catch basin cleaning and an hourly rate for pipe jetting services.
This is something that's done every year. This includes 250 catch basins and 15 hours of pipe jetting services. Currently, there is $24,000 left in this line. It did go out to bid. Joe worked with a couple different departments. Wind River Environmental was the same cost as Bellamore, and then there was two others that didn't respond back. And where Joe's used Bellamore in the past for doing the catch basins, he would like to go with them for the total cost of $19,475 to do the catch basins this year.
That's an important job.
Absolutely is, and I think it really has helped us over the last year with the rain that we've had, making sure the catch basins have been clear and mitigating that risk of flooding and washing out culverts, because they haven't been.
Prevents a lot of pollution, too.
Why are we doing all 250 this year and we haven't in the past?
We have.
Oh, this says we, so most years we do not have all 250 cleaned and jetted. Many are in good condition.
We budget up to 250 to be done this year. So
I see.
we may not do a full 250. It depends
I
on the
gotcha. So this
condition
is
at the
the,
time.
this is the budgeted amount and we may not actually expend all of it. That
Correct.
makes sense. Thank you.
Some of them don't get much sediment.
Right. Especially out here with the, they
Pavement.
have those bags in the ground, in
Yeah.
the catch basins right now, so.
Gotcha.
So the cover letter says that Wind River is the same as Belmore. And it looks like it's
Wind River Environmental was the same cost as Bellamore, the $65 per catch basin.
Belmore's a New
Estimated
Hampshire
cost is
company.
lower. By $3,000.
Because of the jetting.
Because of the, it doesn't include the jetting.
Okay. All right.
And their jet,
Yeah.
yeah, looks like the jetting is the difference.
That per basin cost increases a lot.
Oh,
I'll make them.
I was trying to get Neil to make the motion, but that's okay.
Okay, I'll make the motion. I'll make a motion that we accept the purchase request for a total of $19,475 for catch basin cleaning and jetting services. Each are $16,250 and $32.25 respectively.
second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Also have one here for a Chappelle Tractor New Fusion Edge Snow Pusher.
So in speaking with Joe with regards to this, is that the blower is getting very old and very expensive to replace and repair. So this will, in some cases, take that job, and it will allow them to grab the snow, push it down the main street, as well as load trucks with the snow scoop coupler. I think it's, number one, a cost savings on labor, on the amount of time that it takes to clear the streets in the wintertime. They did get three prices. One was an internet price, but they did get a price from Chapel Tractor, and they got a price from
MB Tractor?
MB Tractor, yeah.
What is this, like a U-shaped plow?
yes, yeah, that expands and retracts. So they had a price.
Hydraulic pistons that,
Yes. They had a price from MB Tractor of $91.99, but that came with a steel cutting edge. The one that they're looking at comes with a rubber cutting edge, which is a reversible edge. The difference in price is that if they have to put on a steel cutting edge, they'll replace that steel cutting edge every year, which is the cost difference between the 91.99 and the 11.6. But with the rubber blade, they'll be able to reverse that and use the other side the following year in the event that it wears, but it wears much slower than what the steel cutting edge does. So that's why they chose to go with the bid from Chapel Tractor.
Are they gonna continue to use a blower?
They will,
It just won't have as many miles on it.
Vibrating.
that's correct. So trying
So does
to,
this replace something? I don't know how that.
it
Or just
is going
addition
to take off the use of the
It's gonna
blower.
minimize.
I see.
Because the blower last year broke down probably 2 or 3 times, and they repaired it. This year kind of takes the place of it at a third of the cost. But they'll still use the blower in the event that they need it, but this should do the job on any storm.
Any storm that's small, they just
Correct.
use this.
Yeah,
Correct.
makes
And
sense.
they'll be able to load the truck with it as well.
Oh, it can be used to load?
Yep,
Oh,
yep.
I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to see it too. I hope we have some good snow.
You can do a ride-along or something.
There you go.
Plow right along. That sounds interesting.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the new Fusion Edge Snow Pusher 2G12L for the sum of $10,200 plus the Vobel ISO coupler mounted to frame of the pusher for an additional $1,400. Total $11,600.
Second.
Who's this with?
Chapel Tracker.
Chapel Tracker. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Yeah.
Ann, do you have encumbrance approvals for us this time?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry, I had to do some updating. So what I did is I went back and I looked at where we ended last year, still to be audited, but there was a couple items that we are adding to this encumbrance, which is $200,000 for South Main Street project. We're not quite sure yet about the street lighting, but we know that project is going up as we speak. Every time there's a change order that goes in, sometimes things change. The other thing is our Highland Street project that we have started on. We've asked for another $50,000 to be, for that to be carried over into next year. So that brings the total to $1,713,591.48 is what we will be submitting to the auditor as the recommended encumbrances from the board.
So what was the total before? Oh,
I'm sorry, I don't have that with me. We had to go back and rearrange, and the South Main Street project, of course, we originally had 900 and some odd thousand there, but because of the town's portion that was expended last year, that had to be reduced. So I just had some adjusting to do, but it was right around that 1.7.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we approve the revisions in the fund balance of encumbrances as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Yeah, all those opposed? I don't have one of those in my signature file.
No, but here, I'll pass mine around, sorry.
Okay.
Have you?
Neil to discuss concerns with Smith Bridge Road and Tenny Mountain Highway.
The traffic on Tenny Mountain Highway has reached never-before-seen levels. it's become practically impossible to get in and out of Smith Bridge Road many times during the day.
If you're turning left.
Well, even if you're trying to turn right, you can't get a hole. But I want to communicate with the state DOT again and, well, thank them for lowering the speed limit to 35 so that there's less likelihood of getting killed. And but I want to ask them to put up proper signage. They there are non-existent signs for no passing at the Smith Bridge Road intersection. There are no signs for no passing. People are passing there all the time. They, as soon as somebody puts their blinker on to turn into Smith Bridge Road, car in back of them goes right down the middle lane while somebody's trying to get out because it's the only chance they've got to get out. And the middle lane is for people trying to get out to merge in with the people heading east. And so I want to ask them to put up signs that say no passing at that intersection. And the striping is getting worn, and it really needs to be updated. In other words, they need to have the paint truck come and put some lines down.
I feel like they gave us a timeline on lines last time we wrote to them.
So I did speak with DOT last week after Neil had called. They will review the signage, and they are delayed because of lack of labor, lack of staff, in getting the roads marked, but they will be here within the next month, and it will be all striped, as they have done every year in the past.
Okay, good.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that you were able to talk to
Yep.
them.
What's the, do we have any idea what the date, like the year that we're thinking that they're going to come and deal with that intersection?
The engineers are supposed to start in 2027.
Okay, so we have another 4
The
years.
highway was designed in 1953. All the hydrology drainage is overwhelmed when we get major events. It needs new drainage, and there's a lot of foot traffic on the sides. If you take a look at the space for people who are pedestrians who try to get between the Ford dealership and Smith Bridge Road, it's a wonder nobody's been killed there. There's hardly enough room for a body, and that's one of my concerns.
Yeah, well, it's unfortunate that
Wasn't it 32 or 33 they're talking about maybe putting in a roundabout?
Yeah, it was a 20-year plan.
Yeah, well, they shot us down the last time.
But I did speak with them at the end of last week, and they will be striping it, and they're going to review the signage.
I'm glad to hear that you were able to, make some ground with them.
So the roundabout got pushed to 2033 or something?
32 or 33, around in there.
Yeah.
Did that get pushed, or was that the plan? Because I thought it was.
That was the plan. It was in their 20-year plan to redo that intersection.
It was a
at Smith.
10-year
Oh, there was
plan.
Yeah, it was
10
10
I thought it was
yeah,
a
it's
10-year
We had a 10-year plan,
even then.
but we've been
But at the
working
end of
on
the
them
10-year
for
plan,
10
not the
years
beginning.
already.
Right.
Right, the 11-year.
Yeah, we plan to do it in
You
10
want that?
year not the 10-year plan.
Right.
If you set a 10-year plan, that's like, this is what I'm going to do over the course of the
Right.
next 10 years.
Do we actually have an account? I know Neil spoke of increased traffic. Do we actually have a?
They're supposed to do trip counts. Right? I
think
they
I
got
saw,
some
I think
wires
I
out
saw
there
those
now.
They
things
do have.
across the road
Okay.
the other day.
Gotcha.
They
Yeah,
have
they
them
have
out there
them-
now.
they're out there
after
right
night.
now.
I live out there,
Yeah.
and well, like, I probably was a little late tonight because I took Fairgrounds Road. I didn't dare to go out there. And then I got on Main Street and I had to wait for construction.
That's all going to be
Still
done very
working.
soon.
I didn't think they'd be working.
Yeah, they are working late tonight.
Yeah.
They got to finish up.
I do wonder if there's a moment at some point where we should decide to put a sign up that says no left turns off of Smith Bridge Road.
That's an idea.
Not something we have to do right away,
See
but
anybody get hurt.
I
It's
don't,
it's so hard to get out there anyway. It's like,
I don't think any reasonable person does make a left turn there, but, often
Well, there's
motor
a line
vehicle
all the
accidents
time.
are
Yeah,
done by
there's always a
unreasonable
line.
people.
But then you have people take right, and then what do they go into? The
Yeah.
electric
They go into
up
someplace else,
and-
yeah,
Yeah.
because, or one of those other places
Or
that
go
has a
down
light.
to the traffic circle in reverse direction.
You don't have to go, I mean, there's those little businesses, there's one that
Right.
has a light right across from.
It would pick,
Aquarium or
it would put
something.
it would increase the traffic in any of those businesses.
They usually try to dive in by the secondhand store there.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Some
narrow
some other
Riley.
places put in jug handles to deal with that.
Yeah, like down in Nashua, they always had them,
Yeah.
you know, and there's a lot of traffic down there.
I'm just wondering if there's some other way we could deal with that.
It's gotta be the engineer's design for the highway. The whole highway needs to be redesigned. There's so much traffic out there. They need 4 lanes. They need 2 travel lanes and 2 turning lanes. Then they need 2 more roads, 2 more access roads going behind all the businesses. That would work.
I don't think we're
good.
gonna get that anytime
Yeah, I
soon.
don't.
And bike lanes while they're at it.
Or a sidewalk, at least.
I want
Bike
both.
lanes, yeah.
You have a bike lane, but a sidewalk along with the bike lane.
Yeah. Anyway, that road's a problem.
I might as well give them our whole list.
I can tell you that the police department has been out there with heavy enforcement and wrote 2 tickets just last week for negligent operation. Alex was traveling eastbound on 25 and a vehicle was coming westbound and he witnessed that vehicle behind the one that was coming westbound pull into the breakdown lane and pass him in the 55-mile-an-hour zone. And then at the intersection of Highland and 25, a marked cruiser was sitting at the stoplight. There was a girl walking in that dirt section, coming down, going to cross across 25 over to McDonald's, and a car was in the dirt, came right up beside, just barely missed the girl, and they stopped him in McDonald's parking lot and wrote him for negligent operation as well. So I will say they're out there. They had 34 stops in 4 hours on Saturday. They were running a highway enforcement detail. So they're out there. You know, I think they're doing what they can do to enforce the speed limit and operation, but
There was a really serious accident too near the traffic light.
Well, actually,
Right at
yeah, by
Adrian's
CVS
Way,
or something like that. And
a
Motorcycle?
motorcycle came around the corner, hit a car broadside that was turning.
Where was that?
Right by Adrian's Way, Hannaford,
Oh, right.
Oh, okay.
Burger King, right in that stretch right there.
Yeah.
So that was Saturday afternoon.
Not actually on Tenny Mountain Highway, on Highland.
It's a dangerous area too.
They're out there trying to do the best they can to enforce and make sure they're being seen.
It's appreciated. Anything else on that topic, Neil?
No? We'll give them our whole list, huh?
All right, Scott, you want to talk some more about the fund balance policy?
Yes, so the fund balance policy you have in front of you, I was communicating with municipal managers on the municipal manager's website, asking them for just different sample policies. And the one that we really kind of took and manipulated a little bit was one from the town of Exeter. And I had spoken with Russ Dean, who's the town manager in Exeter, at length about his policy and why they have the different pieces to it. And what they did was really look at the Government Accounting Standards Board and look at GASB 54, which defines fund balance for governmental agencies. And so when they developed their policy, they ran it through DTC because they use DTC for their legal counsel. So it's been through the attorneys. And I think it's probably the most simplest but complete policy with regards to what the purpose of a fund balance is and making sure the definitions as defined in section 2.0 meet the GASB 54 fund balance reporting and governmental fund type definitions, which it absolutely does. And, you know, the biggest one that I think we should always be concerned with is the first 4 are really designated balances on what, and defined on what their expenditures are. But when you get to number 5, the unassigned fund balance, it's really what those funds can be used at in regards to any type of catastrophic loss, an emergency situation, and how that is governed and how that is ruled. And then as you work down through the spending priorities, and then the minimal level unassigned fund balance, is that the town really has never set what they want to maintain as a fund balance and equal to the percentage of the total appropriations. Because when you look at that, you're really looking at the assets minus the liabilities. And in talking with Ann and looking at other towns, everything ranges from 5 to 18, 5 to 20. And I just feel for us to have a safety net of at least 5% that we have in the undesignated fund balance is a good place to be for a town the size of Plymouth. So I put this in front of you tonight. We put this in front of you tonight after Ann and I have been through it and made some minor changes to it. But I think it's something that we should have in the financial management of what we do each and every year in designating the fund balances. But also it gives us a little bit of information that we can put into the MDA report, which talks about our financial stability, and knowing that we now have a fund balance policy that's directed by policy, just not what works that year.
What's the current fund balance as a percentage?
It's about 3%.
So we're striving to get to 5 at least.
Yeah, the 5 to 17 really is what DRA recommends. There's no guarantee that, I mean, you don't want to hold 17% of taxpayers' money, but the 5% is pretty.
I wonder if we should rewrite that range, because right now it's a minimum level and it's written as a range, which
Yeah.
feels weird. I wonder if we should we should say that the minimum is 5% and then state a maximum of.
I wouldn't. You're going to review this every year. And this is it's a guideline. It's not an absolute.
It
Okay?
sort of stops being a guideline when we put it into policy.
Yeah.
It's more of a guideline when you go to set your tax rate, what it is that you're going to keep for fund balance, what it is that you're going to carry over for encumbrances. There's all,
I hear what you're saying, and I understand how this board has been treating that, and I think we've done a good job of trying to head back towards that 5% number. I worry about two things. One, a future board who looks at that number and says, well, actually, let's strive for 10, because it's the middle of that range. It's like, well, 10's probably excessive. But what says that about the policy? The policy gives a minimum that could be, you could have a board that treats the minimum as 17 the way that this is written,
yes, you can.
and could have a maximum of 50% or some
So I
bananas
would-
number.
yeah, I would recommend getting rid of the word minimum.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that would be another solve for it, would be to take the word minimum. You know, you either say minimum and maximum to say, you know, over this point, we want to put it back towards the tax rate, and under this point, we want to save. Or, like you said, take minimum off and just say, you know,
We're striving for
desired
something in this
range
range.
or something, yeah.
I'd prefer you take the minimum off than to change that range.
You prefer to take the minimum off than to say minimum 5, maximum 17.
Right. And we did run this by the auditor, and he was good with the policy as written and said it was consistent enough with the GASB requirements that he was pleased to see that we were creating this policy. So that just helps as well. But if you were to take the minimum off, the word minimum,
The word minimum, yeah.
Take off minimum and say recommended.
yeah,
Or just level
There.
unassigned fund balance.
Yeah.
So we're gonna remove the word minimum, and then we're going to add recommended.
That seems reasonable to me.
I mean, I think recommended makes it clear that this is a guideline that the board's
That's-
striving towards,
Right.
unless like a hard policy.
Well, there are times that we could have a major catastrophe and all hell breaks loose. We
We
have to
don't
have a
have any
special
fund
town meeting.
Correct.
We have to, right, there are things like that can happen, so these are just recommendations, as you indicate.
Yep.
So do we need a motion to accept this? Okay.
As a,
I'm going to make a motion that we accept the revised here policy for fund balance.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I think this is a good housekeeping measure.
Yeah.
100%. Yes. Putting things in place like this make the organization run more smoothly, irrespective of who's actually sitting in the office. 'Cause
Right.
it gives guidelines that are logical and sane, that no matter who's there can follow. I think that's healthy.
I agree.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Good work, Scott and Ann, as usual. Signature file review.
and I don't have anything in the signature file tonight, other than what you've already signed, so.
Holy cow.
Look at, I could check that one
I
off.
know, wasn't that quick?
I have
pass that
never
around?
seen anything like that.
I like it, I like it. All right,
I
on,
get cramps in my hands signing. I got so I couldn't even sign my name right.
I know, we're doing
Mary
better.
Ann.
guys.
Sign it so
doing
many
good.
Right,
times, you know?
Right. Marianne had a different solution for that.
Should just
Neil.
take us up all the space.
exactly.
Committee reports.
Machine claim.
Water and Sewer Commission.
Water and sewer, this was on 8/15. They talked about CUSI, which is their upgrade to their billing system. Will include an online bill pay, which I'm very excited about. Help meter reads, help to read meters. They are getting a grant which will cover most of the cost for the upgrade, which is great. They also have a new contract with Saudi for computer system upgrades, cybersecurity, network, server. I was curious, Scott, you had talked about in your report about kind of upgrading our systems as well.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wonder if there's any synergy across, I guess, across the town for computer systems and whatnot.
We use the same vendor as Plymouth Village Water and
Gotcha.
Sewer
Okay,
does.
great.
And the fire and the police department use Stellar out of Newington, but they specialize in public safety.
Excellent, thank you. Let's see, truck replacement, I guess like us, they were having difficulty finding a truck, but they found a red Silverado for 4,400.
4,400.
44,000.
I was going to be like, what a deal.
Say that's,
Quite the deal.
Sign me up for it.
35 years old.
have them pick up 3 of those.
Three of those. They talked something about, and I didn't quite understand enough about 89 Fairgrounds Road and the sewer service connection. I guess there were some, okay, so, yeah, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know, it was public. There was asbestos in the pipe, and there was some agreement made with the homeowner. I guess it's trying to raising up, you look at it like you know.
I only know what I watched the meeting portion
Okay.
of it, that portion of it, and it sounds like there was an agreement with one of the current commissioners
Right.
that never really got resolved. So the chairman has brought it to his attention and asked for some resolution. And it doesn't sound like the individual at the meeting
Right,
as
was
commissioner was very pleased that was discussed in an open
Right.
public conversation.
Right.
So I think if the people would really like to watch that Water and Sewer Commission meeting from
The 15th.
that will explain a lot of the questions that might come about.
Right. I feel like the group as well, the commissioner was trying to bring it up so it is more public and not perceived potentially as hidden subject, so.
Right.
There are some lead service lines, many on Russell Street, some that aren't active. Wright Pierce has worked with DEHS for a loan for 100% forgiveness. That's more good news. Something I learned, the Pug Mill line process, which I guess treats solids, waste material, separates liquids, squeezes it to get as much out, get as much water out. I guess the process here called Pug Mill, the parts that had to be taken offline, parts weren't available, so now they're outsourcing it. RMI, which is a biosolid vendor, and they'll continue that process. That's all the excitement.
Lots of excitement.
Okay.
Planning board, Neil.
Well, I don't have my notes with me, but I do recall that we approved the application for storage units for Bico on, which is off from Page Street, which is off Fairground Road. And we also had discussions with Jeff Hiltz and property owners at Frontenac Development, and they've made substantial progress. And I think the only hang-up now is whether or not Water and Sewer is going to approve the sewer lines. So I don't know how far up the water lines go, but I think most of the people up there are on wells. And I think most of the other issues have been resolved. So it's at the point where the planning board is waiting for Water and Sewer to make a decision on the sewer lines. And that's about all I can tell you that I remember.
There was a lot line adjustment discussion.
Oh, yeah, there was a guy named Bill Bolton came in, and I completely forgot about him. He had a chunk of land that he wanted to trade a little here and trade a little there and help out his neighbor a little bit. And there was, it wasn't going to result in anybody gaining anything. It was just going to straighten out a line.
And there was
So,
still a discrepancy on.
I think the board approved it.
Conditionally.
Conditionally.
Yeah, it had to resolve an issue between a 1.10
it was like a,
6.
it was almost like somebody made a mistake with their finger on a typewriter.
Yeah, so that's been resolved though.
Yeah.
And looking forward to it
So
being
you're all
signed.
set.
Yep, all set.
You were at the meeting, so
was,
was
yeah.
there anything I forgot?
No, you did well. After that, I just kind of left.
That's about the
You covered
shortest.
it all.
Yeah, it was the shortest report I've ever given.
Yeah, hit the top one.
Yeah, to the top one. I remember I saw something about 560 feet up from Chardon.
Water lines extend 550 feet up Chattering
It probably
Park.
just goes up around the corner and stops at where the circle was supposed to be, but isn't there. And there's another 90-degree turn goes up.
No discussion of that at the Water Sewer Commission, though.
Wow.
It seems like the next place for it to
No,
get figured out.
everything's kind
I
of hanging.
think that Wright Pierce, the engineers for Plymouth Village Water and Sewer, are still looking at the evaluation of the engineering that was done up there during that period.
Gotcha. Campus Community Council, we get the update that
Yep,
there's the
Scott
town hall.
already talked about that.
And so nothing else to talk about on that front. School.
I did attend the Plymouth Regional High School on 8/15. some highlights are that they were repouring the concrete slab out in front of the building, and the unusually wet weather was creating some challenges for them. I'm assuming at this point that they have it done. I'm looking at Zach because I don't have any kids in the school.
It's finished.
It's finished, okay.
I didn't see any construction there when I picked a kid up yesterday.
They had reported 12 people transferring in, but other than that, everything was in good shape. They did talk about 2 financial impacts. They had a concrete block wall that needed sealing, that was $39K. And they talked about a batting cage of $99K. This has been deferred for a number of years, and I don't remember exactly what the outcome of that is. I think it was not done. They did report on the summer. They had 106 credits recouped over the summer, so basically students that didn't finish a bunch of credits, they had the opportunity to do that during the summer and make up that work. They had a new teacher's overview on the 16th. And that was kind of coincided with a comprehensive program kickoff for the new year with those teachers. They had some discussion about what they're looking for in a new principal. They're going to basically circulate some documentation sometime in September, do a survey basically, and see what they're looking for. They concluded with a non-public, and then after which a tour of some of the activities that were in process over the summer. I didn't know how long that was going to be, so I was like, it's okay, I'm good. And that concludes what was talked about on the PRHS. And next meeting, I think, is on next Tuesday. And because it's on a Tuesday, Zach has wonderfully volunteered to go in my stead.
Be there next Tuesday.
That was the reminder,
Appreciate it.
and I will continue going to the BES one.
So that's 9/5, is that right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
The elementary school one, which would normally have been scheduled on Monday, is the following Monday.
And Conservation Commission.
Conservation Commission, they actually canceled the last meeting. So the next one will be the September one. I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but we'll have another board meeting before then, so it'll give me the opportunity.
All right. No news on capital improvement. LRPC.
I did see an email from Admin 3, which is their scheduling person, and there is going to be a September meeting. So that's as far as I got.
Did we get a where or when?
We did. It's on my phone.
That's okay. It's probably Monday at 6 o'clock.
Well,
or something.
not the commission meeting, the executive committee meeting.
Oh, the executive
Yeah.
board. Oh, okay.
Oh, so yeah, Chris might have been alerted already. The commission meetings.
Regular commission meetings. Yeah.
Don't know.
We should check in with him on that at some point. Parks and Rec.
Scott basically reported on that during his thing. They met last time when we were here, so I was unable to attend their meeting.
What's that rebranding effort you talked about with Parks and Rec?
I think what they're doing is creating a new logo for the Recreation Department, separately from Parks.
Huh. Okay.
And what
That's
it-
my understanding, but they want to come in and talk about that at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. Parking.
Still a problem.
What about all the free spaces that I don't know are free?
What do you mean?
More of a problem. We're losing Silver,
Yeah.
Lost at this
Lost?
point.
Yeah, it's gone.
so that kind of creates even more of a issue.
Our hope is by next Wednesday, the section from Highland to the roundabout will be finished.
By next Friday?
They've just got the permanent connections left to do, and I know they're putting 3 crews on that this week to get those. They've got one more fire hydrant to do down near Samaha's store, and then it's,
Just are banging them out.
I have to say, and I can't speak obviously for all businesses, we have not been affected. Even they were right in front of the shop, no sides, no parking. I don't know why. I can't speak for everybody. but-
Maybe you're not all that parking dependent.
I'm sorry?
Maybe you're not all that parking dependent.
I guess not, but. I'm
Weren't you
surprised.
aware of that bam, 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 bam?
Oh
Like,
my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
that didn't affect
And
your,
the smell I walked into one day, it was like, oh, who didn't take out the trash? And then I realized, bam, bam, bam. But
I'm happy that that's all done, but.
This
as
is,
am I.
this is the last week of meteorological summer, but we're hoping we'll have Indian summer.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be nice. Feels like it was very short this year. Energy Commission.
I'm not aware of another meeting.
No news. Advisory Budget Committee,
this
same
here?
story of have not met.
From picking blackberries.
Economic Development.
Still waiting with bated breath.
Still, it's close now, right?
It is.
Close. PSU negotiations,
Still,
that's,
still in negotiations.
we're effectively at rest for
We can probably strike that one
a year or
from
two. Chamber of Commerce.
Let's see. Kind of got caught up on membership. They've got a new 15, so a new 15 members, which is great. Let's see. They've been sending out, it's now renewal time, so they're kind of sending out last chance. You get some money off if you renew earlier. They're trying to focus on a demonstrating value, geared towards the businesses. What's the value of joining the chamber? Clearly, the efforts they've had, the National Night Out that Scott spoke of last time, was very successful. Lots of people. Squam Lakes event was successful as well. They're doing some stuff with Meredith Area Chamber, a joint effort, but they're trying to figure out a way to communicate the value of joining the chamber and what that means. They talked once about doing some work for Habitat, and so that's great for the chamber to volunteer for Habitat, but how does that turn into good for the businesses as part of chamber? So they're trying to go down that path right now. So we'll see what bounce around a bunch of ideas.
I have to say, one of the values is Maddie herself. I mean, she's really kind of pulled it together. and
She
very-
is certainly, I think at one point she, sort of trying to save money, was going to cut back her hours. And I suggested, and I'm not a board member, obviously, and, maybe not cut back on her hours. Sometimes you got to spend money to make money because she is so effective. But they chose to continue to cut back her hours and see how it goes. But yeah, she's a force to be reckoned with. The other thing, we talked about, or you mentioned earlier, a PSU town kind of effort together, and PSU reached out to Main Street businesses as well as the chamber, as well as Explore NH, to do at homecoming kind of welcome back to Main Street effort. So we're figuring out and have been moving forward with that. Cool logo, trying to get alumni and whatnot onto Main Street, various discounts, various specials, things like that. So it's definitely positive in that direction. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Erlac.
Could I do two things? Could I add another?
Of course.
Okay, well, first of all, PERLAC, we have another meeting tomorrow. And it's going to be at the Whole Village Center down on Highland Street. And that meeting starts at 6:30. So it's our monthly, meeting that's going on there. And tomorrow morning is the last VRAP sampling testing program. So 8 o'clock. Neil, you've been,
I'm just booked.
well,
Sorry.
keep on trying.
Having coffee.
Yeah, so it's our last northern, collection of water samples.
Probably in the spring I might have time.
Okay, well, we'll still keep you on the list, so. But, yeah, we're, looking at the same issues as far as like Owl's Nest. And latest one is, in fact, in my perception, the latest one is the use of Roundup and other, defoliants to get rid of invasives. And there are still entities that are more than using it just because it's easy and it's relatively cheap, but they're like health issues, so,
Roundup is dangerous.
yeah.
You need to be very careful when you handle it.
You know what works really well? Vinegar with dishwashing detergent.
Okay.
Small amounts.
Yep.
It'll defoliate just as readily as some of those commercial products.
Worth a shot. So, that's pretty much PERLAC, but I want to discuss something that we'll also have a meeting tomorrow night on the board for Transport Central. And we have a meeting at 4 o'clock at the Whole Village Resource Center. And one of the issues that I'm going to be bringing up is that I'm also on the regional, RCC, Regional Coordinating Council, that meets up in Littleton. North Country Council is the prime on this Regional Coordinating Council. And I've been, as Executive Director of Transport Central, and also a member of RCC and SCC and NHTA, which are like, the transportation entities in the state. We Plymouth are going to be focusing on two methods to better be able to transport people around town and, to either appointments or, for employment or whatever. So the last meeting I went to, the RCC meeting up in Littleton, the people that are meeting with me are also members from TRICAP and mobility managers from the state. And we also have found a friend with a statewide mobility manager who has been helping, me kind of go forward with something that we might be able to, start in Plymouth. And I've also had conversations with like Berks and different people at PSU that they want to support this as well. And Berks was interested in utilizing their vehicles and drivers, and then we would form, at least target some monies to carry it over through the summer. Meanwhile, TRICAP, who does transportation, and they throw money at all these agencies, we definitely have a friend in them because they're thinking about possibly putting a bus down here with a driver. And they're centered in Berlin, but they are looking at statewide transportation matters. So we're going to have like a town meeting that will bring all the people to the table, like the town manager, town planners, and also PSU and senior center and all the entities that have vehicles that do transportation in this town already. And then, target like a route, maybe start with a fixed route. But in any event, as of last Friday's meeting, I'm really kind of like amazed at, what might happen. So, I mean, hopefully we can target a meeting in the next maybe like few weeks and maybe have it at the senior center and get all these entities, at the table.
So these routes just for Plymouth, community members going to Plymouth sites, or?
Well, it's going to be obviously multi-use, you
Right.
just get on a bus and go to a stop, and there's going to be like posted routes, but primarily, that means a lot of like, you have to accommodate certain times, one of the things that, cropped up is the, over, on, not Stagecoach, yeah. To get people to work, basically, that don't have cars. And I was trying, what's the, I don't know, there's like a couple areas on Fairgrounds that are like low income.
Workforce housing.
Well, yeah, it's workforce housing.
Commons and Morgan Drive
Yeah.
area.
So we're looking at basically accommodating people that might want to have a job at Hannaford. And I spoke with a manager at Hannaford, not Hannaford, but Market Basket. And they're very interested in basically they hire a lot of high school kids. They have like a, school bus dropping kids off there in the afternoons. So, this would be fostering, I guess, general acceptance and ability for someone to be able to get to work. And that's one of the reasons why this is also, being done, but also for seniors to get the pharmacies or medical appointments. And so it's not just going to be Transport Central anymore, and it's not a volunteer thing. So,
Will you be riding a bus? Will you be
would I be,
driving?
yeah,
Driving the bus?
little hat on
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Come on board. No, I will not be driving a bus. Even, used to have a CDL, but actually the vehicles that we're gonna, eventually, purchase won't need a CDL for. But, were you saying something?
I was just gonna say that the email that you had sent me a while back with the presentation that talked about the very successful organizations out in the Midwest that are doing it, that's a great presentation to watch, and it really does
Yeah.
show what the usefulness out of a program like this has for a community.
But I'm also very excited that we got the statewide mobility manager, TRICAP women, that, the people that are actually are flush with funds and have the knowledge to roll out a project like this. So I've been whining so much lately that they finally said, okay.
Good,
Anyway,
that is exciting.
Yeah,
Be cool.
yep,
Did you have one additional thing or two additional things?
that was it. I added that on to Perlac,
Okay.
What time's Perlac, 6:30?
6:30. Yep.
Police and Fire Building Assessment Committee's meeting on September 10th? No, that's not right.
13th?
13th? That sounds
I
right.
think so.
That sounds right. Not next week, but the week after.
Right.
But have not met since they last presented to us. Any other public comments or miscellaneous agenda items?
I don't see Frank today, so.
Or anybody else.
And Dan left, so.
Yep.
Do we have any non-public?
None that have been highlighted.
I just had one subject I wanted to discuss.
Okay. You want to make a motion?
I move that we go into non-public. I can't recite.
91A:32, which category?
Reputation, Neil? C.
C.
See?
There's Neil's motion.
Second.
Oh,
You've got seconds. You can pick any one of them that you like. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aren't we doing roll call?
Oh, yeah, we have to do roll call for non-public. Neil?
Aye.
Marianne?
Aye.
Zach? Aye. Bill?
Aye.
Ted?
Aye.
All right.
Yes.
Now